You're tuned in to BTS, Between the Sermons at Northwood Christian Church, where we gather for conversations with each other, answer your questions, and open the curtains to who we are beyond Sunday mornings. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to BTS.
Hello, church. I'm so glad you're watching episode 8 of BTS, Between the Sermons. I'm really excited today to welcome Aaron Dill. He is our new associate pastor starting on October the 3rd. That's a Sunday. And we're really excited to have you on board, Aaron. One of the things I said this last Sunday is I've run into a couple of people in our church and in the community that know you, and they said, wow, you got a great person. So I'm feeling good about that. So I love what we're going to get to do. You're going to get a chance to get to know and meet Aaron and know him a little bit before he ever is even on staff, because we're going to just take this time and interview him and get to know him better. So I'm going to just throw a bunch of questions at you. You can ask me questions if you choose. I'll maybe respond to some of the things that I'm asking you as well. So.
All right.
But let's just begin by having you tell us about yourself.
Okay. Well, my my name is Aaron,
Yes.
and I've been a pastor out at Twin Oaks Christian Church for about 7.5 years. My wife and I, we moved out. My wife is Bethany Dilla. We have 2 kids, Jude and Anna. Jude is 5, and Anna is 3. And Anna is a firecracker.
Yes.
She's just wild, and we love everything about it. So that's been really fun. There's not been a dull moment during this pandemic for us, to say the least.
Yeah.
And so Bethany and I actually met at what is now Bushnell University.
Okay.
And we didn't meet until I think I was a junior and she was a senior, and we started dating. And I felt this sense of calling to be a pastor. So I knew like seminary,
Yes.
through like a discernment process was going to be a part of my life. But to be honest, I didn't know if marriage would be or not.
Really? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And but then when I met Bethany, that started to change. But I was on my way, to get ready
Yes.
for seminary and everything.
Yes.
So after my time at Bushnell, I moved up and packed up to go to East Tennessee.
Yes.
And that's where I went to school for a year, and decided we couldn't be without each other. So we ended up getting married that summer after I went to seminary.
Okay.
And started our journey there. And it's been 9 years now.
You've been married.
Been
9
married
years.
for 9 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then got a call from Twin Oaks to come out that way, and
Were you excited to come back to the Northwest?
I couldn't wait.
Yeah.
I was thinking, at that time I had worked with some people from Stadia. Church planting is something that was really on my mind,
Yeah.
but didn't know. Didn't really know what the future would hold exactly. I was just open to it and open to pastoral ministry in some shape or form. And it was about my 3rd year at Emmanuel. I knew one person who graduated in 3 years. Everybody seems to graduate in 4 years for
Yes.
some reason. So I was in my 3rd year, and I ended up getting a phone call from one of my professors who was from Bushnell that said, "Would you be interested in the position of pastor?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, but." Thought there's not a chance like
Right.
this is going to happen,
Right. Yeah.
So I said, yeah, this will be good practice and all that stuff to go through this process. And then I got hired.
At Twin Oaks.
At Twin Oaks, yeah.
Which is in South Eugene off of Bailey Hill.
Yeah, off of Bailey Hill and Lorraine Highway. So we moved out that way, and they let me finish my degree online.
Wow.
And started off part-time, and then after that, they made me full-time. And that's when we started welcoming our kids in.
Yes.
So it was pretty great.
And were your kids the only kids at that point in the church, or were there other young ones?
When we first started, there was one middle schooler.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they kind of became the kids. There were a couple of people who had kids that were very young that came in.
Yes.
And then we started having them, and then there was sort of a boom,
Yeah.
you could say.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's good. And so you've been at Twin Oaks for how long?
7.5 years. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Good. So what about ministry do you like the most? Let's just go there. What's some of the things about ministry that you love?
I think one of the things I love about ministry is the people you get to meet.
Yeah.
Like outside of the church, I don't know
Yes.
that I would get to meet the certain kinds of people that come into the church.
Right.
There's a great variety of people.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of them. But then also something that, being at a place for 7.5 years it was special was being a part of the sacred moments of people's lives.
Yes.
My first year, I think there were 6 funerals.
Oh, yeah.
And there's sort of a double side of this. It's the part you hate the most, probably, because you hate to lose people. I sure do. But it's also this really special thing that you're with people in those most sacred moments. And so for me, that's the most honorable part. And then after that, I got the privilege of, presiding over weddings.
Yes.
Being there when babies are born and getting to bless those babies, doing baby dedications.
Yes.
So there's a lot of great things within the church, but as I reflect on it, being there in those moments or being there for the hospital call, that kind of thing is special because those moments are sacred.
Absolutely.
You enter into that sacred space.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always thought of it very similar to what you're saying, is that one of the great privileges of ministry is that you get to step into people's lives at the very most important moments, right? Whether it's the death of a loved one or 2 people coming together to be married or the baby dedication or a baptism.
Yeah.
We get this incredible privilege to step into people's lives at the very most important moments, and what an honor that is, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's one of the joys. What about ministry that isn't your favorite?
Yeah, man. I think that is one of, like I said, I think it's sort of that double thing there that you have. It's a sacred moment, but also sort of the change that can come about when you lose somebody.
Okay.
That's been one of the most painful things,
Yes.
and depending on, the church or the kind of group of people you're around, losing people unexpectedly, even if somebody's in old age or like when somebody young goes, that is by far been the most difficult
part.
Yeah.
Okay.
While it's sacred, it's painful.
Yeah. No, I understand.
So
very good. Okay. I'm curious about, oftentimes pastors will say, I got my call into ministry.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of folks go, what? Did God say, Aaron, this is God. I want you to go. What would you describe? How would you describe your sense of being led into ministry?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Oh, man. This is funny because the class I teach at Bushnell is on vocation and calling and all of that stuff.
This is right up your alley.
I love this stuff. Absolutely love it. And what's odd, though, is that you're right. People often don't get that audible, you're going to go do this thing, Abraham, go, and then they leave Haran and all of that stuff. But, my experience was a little outlandish, I guess, and that... when I became a Christian, really embraced it myself when I was 13.
Yeah.
Got baptized after going to Camp Wainema and, came back to the Hillsboro Christian Church, got baptized and just, I didn't really know what to do next.
Yeah.
So I just picked up my Bible one spring break, started reading it and did that for a couple of years and I don't know what happened. There's an awakening, if you will, that happened. And when I couldn't stay in school before, I all of a sudden loved my English literature class. I was just oh my gosh, I understand things now. It's this weird thing like metaphors and all of that. And it was during that time in high school, I went through a really difficult period with a group of friends that sort of broke off from me. And so I felt pretty isolated, just kind of started, looking for who am I?
Yes.
And where do I fit? Because I didn't feel like I fit, And it was during that time that I was reading the New Testament. I played soccer, basketball, ran track, all that stuff. And it was the oddest time for this to happen. I think we were out somewhere near Gaston or Forest Grove, coming back to Hillsboro, which is where I grew up. And I was just listening to a song on my old iPod. They weren't iPod Touches yet, whatever those small mini ones were.
Yes.
And I was listening to some music and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I just saw in this cursive writing, these words, I'm here to give every person a glimpse of the reality that is God. which is pretty outlandish and not something that I felt like I could have come up with at that time. It was a really, we were talking about grammar earlier. I'm not good with grammar, but in that moment, it sounded right.
Yeah.
You know, and from that moment forward, I felt like my life's goal is to pursue God and to help others know God. And I had this very strong sense that no matter where I am called to be a pastor or a shepherd.
Okay.
And so what that led into was like, you know, I'm going to be the pastor at Papa Murphy's if I have to be when I'm making pizzas.
Sure.
When I worked at a coffee house, I embraced the idea of being a deacon, a table waiter, literally, you know, and I'm going to do the best job that I can there. And so from that point forward, from 16 on forward, I was just trying to embrace that call. And I've had times where I've questioned it for sure, but it just feels like God keeps latching back on and pulling me back in.
Okay.
So.
Very good.
Yeah.
I love that concept of just serving wherever we are, right?
Yeah.
That's such a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Such
absolutely.
a powerful thing. So I'm all over the board, but that's okay. One of the things I was going to ask you, and you touched about it when you're talking about what you love about ministry, what's hard, you know, those sacred moments.
Yeah.
Would you rather do a wedding or a funeral?
Oh, boy. Well, I think a wedding. Just, I mean, like if we're talking about form, you find really meaningful things in funerals and it is sacred, but the idea of a wedding, the potential of this new life together, like it's exciting. And there's this beautiful imagery of the heavens and the earth, these two separate things coming together and joining, and it's there that God creates life. There's just this beautiful symbolism there. So for me, I think a wedding ultimately is there.
So I'm probably a little different there. I mean, I like weddings. In fact, one of my favorite weddings was one I just did. It was our son and his bride, of course. But oftentimes I find I'd rather do a funeral. I know that seems weird, but what I've discovered oftentimes, not always, is that at a memorial service, let's say, a celebration of life, people are more open and wanting to hear from God's word and from God. At a wedding, sometimes I've been where it's like, hey, can you just do this and we can get done and we can have cake and punch and whatever else we're drinking, and we just want to get on. And so on those occasions, I have found sometimes your greatest opportunities for ministry, actually for me, have happened even in the midst of those great painful moments. But it just feels oftentimes people are more open to ministry in those times. Not always, though. But it's whenever I tell someone, I think more times than not, I'd rather do a memorial service than a wedding. People are like, what? You've got some problems, which I probably do. But I
think I have some too.
Okay. So let's go back to you and your family and some things about you. I want to just hear some favorites of things that are your favorites. So we can get to know you. So like maybe your favorite snack would be?
Favorite snack? Oh man. Okay, so this is new for me. I just tried this new beef jerky at Costco. And it is unreal. I think it's a Korean beef jerky is what it says on the package, and it's really sweet.
Yes.
I love sweet stuff. You know, the tangy and the spicy is great too, but man, this stuff is sweet. It's covered in sugar, and it's sugar meat. And there's just like nothing better than sugar meat to me, so I'm loving that stuff.
Sugar meat.
Yeah, we went through that fast.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean me.
It was in the back room.
Or in a place where only I could reach it.
Okay.
So it was nice.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. How about a favorite activity for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, before the pandemic, it was indoor soccer.
Okay.
Love playing soccer still. I got to play at Bushnell. It was super fun. Great way to get, energy out. But, beyond that, I mean, it'd be camping. I love camping with my family.
You do love camping.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Where do you guys go camping?
Every other year, we go to Wallowa Lake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we go out to Eastern Oregon and spend time out there. We got paddle boards this last year. Oh, my gosh.
Can you Okay, you're going to have to show me how to stand on a paddleboard because I was trying to do it just the other day.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stand up for longer than 2 seconds. I was like,
it's tough, like especially
what's
at
the
first.
trick?
Were you wearing shoes or sandals or anything?
No.
Okay, because for me, the first time I wore them, I have a pair of Chacos, and I put the Chacos on. I could not stand up to save my life. I kept falling in the water.
Yes.
And then after that, I took the sandals off, and my feet were exhausted. I mean, I could only do it for like 5 minutes because my ankles and everything. You have muscles down there that I didn't know I had, you know?
Right.
And so getting them on that, like, that was tough. But it was just finding the middle of the board.
Yes.
And just going slow and then taking your time and just trying to build up the muscles. Like, that's the best thing I've got. But yeah. Where did you do the paddleboarding at?
So my wife, Michelle, her sister and husband live in Turner.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lake there I never even knew about. And they live right on this lake, and they have 2 paddle boards. And I think they were trying to make me feel better by saying, they're kind of narrow, we need wider ones, and that would help you out more.
No, that's real. That's very real. Absolutely.
Okay. But if there was video of me trying to stand on this, I could have made $10,000 or whatever. Because
man, yeah.
I couldn't even. I didn't even try it with the paddle because that was just way too complicated. I was just trying to stand up on it.
Yeah.
And I could stand up, boom, I was gone. So, but it was fun for a while trying.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I find you go way faster on your knees too. So if you're trying to get somewhere fast, stay on your knees, you're good to go. You know, it's fun.
I could get on my knees, but standing up, it was not pretty.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like, I went to school down in California for 1 year, and I thought people were just being nice to me. But I'd get out there and I'd surf at like Huntington Beach, and it was really fun. And I ended up buying it was a 6'2" trick board. And that's a huge mistake for a beginner like me.
Yeah.
I would get out there and I'd like start to catch a wave and I would just sink and fall every time.
Yeah.
And my friend's like, no, you got to get on like a 7.5 foot board. And I was like, yeah, I know you're saying that. But then I did it and I actually stood up and I was able to go, like the size of the board, the width and everything. It makes a really big difference. Yeah, for sure.
So maybe there's hope for me.
Yeah. And we got really big ones, so it worked out for us. Yeah, wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wallowa Lake, pretty place. So I served a church in Pendleton.
Oh, yeah.
So would jump up to Wallowa Lake every once in a while. I was in Pendleton right out of seminary and it was a beautiful, beautiful area.
Absolutely.
So you guys camp there every other year?
Yep.
And do you go with other family or just you guys?
Our whole family goes. My parents, my cousins, everybody. We got a lot of family in Eastern Oregon. My mom's originally from Hermiston.
Okay.
And so, we've got family out there and usually hit up Hermiston on the way out, eat some watermelon, all that stuff.
There you go.
And so we get out there. We all get, probably 5 to 6 camping spots. My mom will stay up till midnight, the day that they're available, so that we can book like 6 of them for the whole family. And
are you staying right in Wallowa Lake at that campground?
Yeah, right there at the state park.
And what kind of camping are we doing? Are we tent? Do we got a trailer? What do we got?
So we have a large tent.
Okay.
And so, which were the beneficiaries of Prime Day, which was nice. The year after we went with Jude, he was just over a year old, but carrying him in and out of the little tent that we had, the little rinky-dink one with those tent flies, it was too hard. So we're like, we got to get one that we can stand up in,
Yes.
So after our first trip there, we bought a new tent. It's larger. So we tent camp, and most of our families do. But then my parents have the trailer, which is the central location for all of us.
That makes sense.
Still get our hot water there. Still plug in the iPhone on occasion there. That kind of thing. So
it's
little
hot
both.
water and the toilets that I would appreciate about a trailer.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was great.
Okay. So would that be a favorite vacation spot?
It probably is my favorite. Yeah. Because when you we have our iPhones that we plug in, but you don't get service back there.
Yeah.
And this last year was tough because we couldn't have the campfires and everything, which makes total sense. But that's something, getting around the fire, talking with everybody. We haven't seen them for 6 months in the family, and we're all friends too.
Nice. So how many people are there altogether, you suppose?
Probably about 20, between 20 and 30, depending on the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like a mini family reunion.
Yeah.
But getting out there, going to fish, all that stuff, Man, the fishing there is great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we caught our limit of trout in an hour and a half.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's just great. So.
I also know about growing up, I remember hearing this and experienced a little bit of this, but not too much. But I've always heard if you want to have a close-knit family, you go camping.
I will second that, yeah.
Because anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And you have to learn to adjust as a family, and it kind of brings you all together, right?
Oh, man, yeah. When you're doing diapers, too, and all that stuff, and figuring out, man, yeah. But it is so nice to have family there to help out, too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like new parents. Like, people are like, oh, we got them.
Yeah.
You know, let them play in the field. If you want to go for a walk, go for it.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, it was special. So you got some of that alone time, too.
Yeah.
You know?
Very
Which
good.
is great. So.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So how about a favorite Bible story? What would be a favorite Bible story of yours?
Man, favorite Bible story. Okay. Probably can't put the entire book of Jeremiah in there.
Is that one of your favorite books, Jeremiah?
Jeremiah is one of my favorite books because he's just so painfully raw and honest, but completely devoted to God.
Okay.
Which I think not just ministers, but every Christian knows that, like, there are things in this world that are difficult,
you
know, and just really hard, and you just got to slug it out sometimes.
Yeah.
And man, Jeremiah embodies that.
Yeah.
He embodies that persistence. He's willing to go through the tough stuff in order to reach the other side. And he just trusts God all the way through it. And so, like, that resilience that he shows, like, that to me, oh my gosh, there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
Jeremiah is powerful for me. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So still staying on this thing of favorites. So favorite, I know what I wanted to ask. A favorite sports team.
Favorite sports team.
I'm all over the board.
Yeah.
By the way. I apologize, but I'm all over the board.
No, this is great because I am just now coming back into sports and everything. We had our kids, and like there's like a period in like going through like we just that is your focus, and our kids are still our focus right now, but my kids are now like getting into sports.
Yeah.
Like they love playing in the backyard, and like I said, soccer is great. I never played football, but I mean, I'm an Oregon Duck fan through and through. Yeah. Loved them, watched it, all. You
grew up in Hermiston.
Well, I grew up in Hillsboro.
Oh, that's right.
My mom was from Hermiston,
Yeah, that's right. You grew up in Hillsboro.
But, she went to Bushnell and also did the U of O thing as well. And so we've been Duck fans for the whole time, watching Joey Harrington. Maurice Morris was my hero as a kid. He was a running back for them, number 9. And so we love the Ducks, and so we've been watching the Duck games again. Just absolutely love that. When I was in Tennessee, I moved in right next door, right after we lost the BCS championship to Auburn.
Oh yeah,
I moved in next door to an Auburn frat guy, and it was painful. He did not let me live it down. It was awful. And in the South, they love football. Yes. They love it. The SEC. I mean, that is
we love football, but
it's religion.
Love,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
so,
it's a big deal.
Man, that was tough. So I watched every game when Mariota was playing, up until 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun to be a Duck fan in Tennessee at that time. So that was great. So the Ducks, huge Blazers fan. Yeah. Love watching basketball. Love Damian Lillard, those guys. Damon Stoudemire was my guy growing up.
Okay.
He's part of the Mighty Mouse fan club.
Okay.
And starting to like the Portland Timbers. I grew up going to their games. There's like a minor league team and all that. And then this is controversial. I love Manchester United. They're a big team, so and they win a lot.
They're good.
They are, and I'm getting my son into that. Cristiano Ronaldo just made a return.
Okay.
So to Old Trafford. So we love watching Manchester United as well.
And so this tells you how much I know about soccer, which is nothing.
Okay.
How are they on ESPN?
Sometimes.
How do you watch them?
NBC Sports.
NBC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're lucky. We've got Comcast, and so we're able to stream that live.
Okay.
I found out recently, so we've been watching that. Wake up a little bit early, 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday to watch them play.
Okay,
it's pretty great.
You do love it if you're getting up at 6:30 on a Saturday to watch it.
Yeah. Well, and one of the kids is usually up at that time anyway, saying, I'm hungry, and we can't refuse that. So we get up, eat breakfast, make coffee, and watch the game. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
One of the things we joke about here a lot that I do with the church is they know my pet peeves.
Oh, yeah.
Roundabouts, and sometimes people misunderstand what I don't like about roundabouts. It's the person who sits there, even though it says yield, and they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, just go. Yeah. Just go. You can do this.
Yep.
I believe in you. And I also laugh with our church a lot about Costco parking because, anytime you go to Costco, you got to deal with their parking lot. And I'm usually just trying to get to the back. I just want to get to the back. I'll walk. I don't care how far I have to walk. But I can't even sometimes get to the back because someone's going to wait 10 minutes for a parking spot. I have this silly game I play. I think, okay, I'm going to go by you and I'm going to see if I beat you into the store. I'm a little sick that way. So what pet peeves do you have?
I have to agree with you actually on the Costco parking lot. I brought that up in sermons before.
Okay.
Just like when you're waiting, I don't wait long anymore because I don't like the conflict of like unnecessary conflict of waiting for a spot and like being like, well, who got here first? I'm like, you can have it. I don't mind walking either. My kids like to walk with me, So we'll get out of the car, but it's weird when you get into a space where you're like, oh, I see it, and then you see somebody else sees it, and they're on the right side, you know, and so they got the advantage. And it's like, there's no way I'm wrecking my car for this spot. You can have it, it's yours. But it does put that weird, it doesn't make my blood boil, but it makes me feel like, oh, I don't feel good now.
I know.
And then I don't want to see that person. You might look for him. I'm like, I don't know if I want to make eye contact. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. So that's a pet peeve for sure. So Costco parking lot I would put up there.
Yeah. Once I was sharing with our church that studies tell us if someone sees you're waiting for their parking spot, studies tell us they'll actually take longer.
Really?
Yes. There's this right of this is my spot and you're not going to push me out any quicker than I'm ready. And so I actually play this game as well then. When I see someone waiting, I start moving faster. I'll jog, push, because here's my other pet peeve. We're just talking about mine. That's okay. People who leave their shopping cart in a parking space.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It just drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, might be good for you to push this back. And
I drive a minivan and I can't fit in this space if there's a cart right there.
Right.
Yeah. I'm with you.
So anyways, okay. But no other pet peeves. You're pretty good.
Calm. I'm good to go. No, I mean, I have them. I just can't think of them off the top of my head.
So you're going to be starting in a couple of weeks here. What do you think there's so much you don't know.
Yeah.
So what are you excited about? Mm-hmm. What are you a little bit nervous about?
Man, I'm really excited to meet people.
Okay.
Really excited to meet people. I also love seeing how churches, what their process for getting to know people, what discipleship is like.
Yes.
And honestly, interacting with how people have gotten to know God.
Yeah.
And where is God showing up in people's lives?
Yeah.
That to me is the creme de la creme. Okay. God found you, you found God. How is God transforming your life to be more like Jesus? And why on earth are you following him?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And yet here you are,
right?
Living this life, daily changing who you are. I mean, and I think sometimes we don't even realize the degree to which we're actually changing. I've thought about what are the things I would like to do with my life. But when I turned 16, I had this sense, and when I got that sense of calling, even to be a Christian at 13, it was that altered my life. Mm-hmm. Now, I've had decisions that I've made that were, maybe based off of what I thought was God or not, from that time forward, but always that is hanging right there in my mind. And so it's informed nearly every decision I've made.
Yeah.
And I know that's got to be true for a number of people. So finding that and seeing how is God active in your life and how are you becoming more of who God has created you to be?
Yes.
That thing, finding that with people, discovering it.
Yeah.
There's nothing more exciting to
Very
me
good.
than that.
Yeah.
So finding that is You can find that just about anywhere because people are anywhere, but like finding it where people are gathering to worship the Lord like that, that's it for me.
Well, you're going to have an opportunity to meet a lot of people.
That's what I've heard, which might be what I'm a little like, anxious about. It's like, how do you get to know so many people and that? So it's exciting though. It's like an exciting nervousness.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a challenge, right? Especially coming in where everyone will have a sense of you and then you are trying to learn and get to know people. Yeah,
for sure.
Anything else you're a little nervous about or apprehensive about?
Apprehensive about, yeah. I try and put it on the back burner as best I can. Just like I've learned, there's this wonderful term in psychology I learned called catastrophizing.
Yeah.
Oh man, I used to be so good at it.
Yeah.
What is the worst possible thing that could happen?
Yes.
And what I learned is you can actually go there. And sometimes it's humorous. Like when you take it to its end, it's absolutely ridiculous, some of the things you think will happen. Yeah. So honestly, I'm actually, can I be proud of myself, I guess, in this way? I'm really grateful that I've had some good people who've helped coach me on how to not do that. And so putting that on the back burner and just thinking with a balanced mind, no, this is a new opportunity. Of course there's unknowns, but that's exciting.
Yeah.
Good. So.
Good.
Yeah.
So you're finishing up your ministry at Twin Oaks.
Yeah.
And what's left to do there before you come here?
Training and saying goodbye.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I love Twin Oaks.
Yeah.
The people at Twin Oaks have been nothing but good to me.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
Yeah, I am a very, very fortunate person.
Yeah.
I've got to walk in the shadows of giants with mentors of mine who have been there, Ron Heine and Jill Heine and George Knox, who I'm sure people know.
Yep.
They've trained me. It taught me to speak, from the pulpit when I was too nervous. And, we'll be in the same location, so I'm grateful to God to be able to still interact with people.
Yeah.
But getting to say goodbye and say things are going to be different, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's what I've got left. I've got my last sermon on Sunday.
Is it this Sunday?
It is, yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah, so.
What's the theme? Do you have it already in your head?
I've been going through Ephesians, and oh man, I've been loving it. It's been so much fun. But I think what I'm going to do is we're getting towards the tail end of chapter 4. So maybe finishing there with also Paul's goodbye in Acts chapter 20.
Yeah.
Where he calls the Ephesians elders together and let's just acknowledge that this is, at least it's sad for me. The other people have told me it's sad for them too.
Sure.
I don't want to overemphasize it, but this is sad.
Yeah.
But also Paul says this really interesting thing. I'm captive to the Spirit. Mm-hmm. We're all captive to the Spirit, and God is calling us to these things, and some things are happening now at the church that maybe wouldn't have happened if I was there, that are good, that are healthy.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's a really special thing, and I'm excited for the new ministry that comes in afterwards. And the main focus is making sure that I can do the best I can to make sure that we set whoever is coming after me up for success.
I love it.
I mean, that is one thing I love is leave things better than when you found them.
Right.
Yeah. And so I'm doing my very best for that right now.
You bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate you paying attention to that. Saying goodbye and saying it well is very important.
Here.
Too oftentimes we don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even, I was reading something the other day, I was sharing with our church Sunday that we're in this flux across the nation, churches everywhere. People are moving from one church to another. There's this great flux of movement.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of times people say goodbye very well. Yeah. And in fact, most of the time they don't even say goodbye.
Yeah.
And I always think, I wish we could have the courage to say goodbye and say it well, because I think it's really important.
Yeah. I think that is maybe a burden that pastors share across the board is, you get into somebody's life, you get to know them, they become friends.
Yes. They become family.
Family, yeah. And then something may happen, maybe we don't know why, or maybe it's just like a shockwave in a person's life.
Yeah.
And goodbye doesn't happen because let's be honest, sometimes goodbye is too hard.
Yeah.
But then that leaves us wondering, was it me? Did something happen?
Right.
And sometimes just learning to acknowledge it's just painful. I mean, I've had to learn to do that, but it's not been easy.
Right.
So it's a very real, I think, burden that people share together.
I agree.
So
very important.
Yeah.
So anything you want to say to our folks before stepping in? They're going to watch this and see it before you start on Sunday, October 3rd. But any kind of final thoughts?
Just that I'm really looking forward to this opportunity to get to know everybody and spend time together and discover God together. One of my favorite things in theology is reading, there's an ancient church father named Gregory of Nyssa, 4th century. And he talks about God being eternal and without boundaries because he is God, you know. And what that means, in short, for me in my everyday life, in my simple mind, is that if God is eternal, I will eternally discover who is God. And because I am eternally discovering who is God, that means that I'm changing to become more like him forever. And so too are other people. There is never a dull moment, you know, in the church, which I'm sure you can attest to, you know. And so we get to do this discovering God together and discovering how God like manifests in our lives together. And I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Perfect.
So,
Perfect. Good.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate your time today, stepping in and doing this, and looking forward to partnering with you in ministry, and we'll share a lot of time together.
Yeah.
Office is right across from mine.
Perfect.
Anytime I don't want to do something,
all right, I see.
Aaron, how about, Hey, church, I hope you've enjoyed getting this opportunity to meet Aaron in this way. I hope you'll look for him and introduce yourself to him, get to know him and his family, just love on them, be praying for them even as you're watching this, and in the days coming, pray for this transition, and just continue to surround Aaron and all his family as opportunities are available to love on them and care for them, just as you have with all the staff. Church, we love you. Look forward to seeing you next time.